Hey, this is David Crone with HorseRacingNation.com asking you if you're ready to get your Preak on. Alright, let's talk about the Preakness a little bit here. Sorry about that. The Preakness, obviously, second jewel of the Triple Crown. No sales pitch needs to be given here. This is a big race. This is a huge race. All eyes are on Calvin Borel, Todd Pletcher, and Super Saver. Can Super Saver be the horse that finally wins the Triple Crown? The first horse since 1978 to get the job done. He's going to have to win the Preakness if he wants to win the Triple Crown. So let's talk about this race a little more. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Obviously, Super Saver is the horse to beat. He ran a huge race in the Derby. He was one of the very few horses that were part of the pace at all early that hung around. He seems like a legitimate horse to me. He seems like a horse that could be tough. But you have to remember, the Derby was run in a lot of slop. This is a horse that got a really good trip in that race. So there's positives, there's negatives. Let's start talking about the pace. And what's going to be really, really, really interesting in the Preakness is what happens in the first quarter mile, the first half mile. There's not all the speed that was there in the Derby. In fact, there's almost no legitimate want the lead type of horses. The one horse that seemed to fit that profile, at least before the Derby, is Super Saver. He was a horse that always went to the lead. All of a sudden, he showed he can rate. So what does Calvin Borel do? Do they go back? Do they take the lead? Or do they try to rate this horse? It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens because, like I said, we don't have a lot of need the lead types. We have a whole lot of horses that want to be second to fifth. So when you start talking about that, you get into horses like, you know, Paddy O'Prado, First Dude, Schoolyard Dreams, Yawanna Twist, Jackson Bend, Northern Giant, Caracortado, even Aikenite. These are all horses that have some early speed. Then even Lookin At Lucky, he's not a horse that necessarily has to be in 16th like he was in the Derby. He's a horse that can sit closer than that. And Pleasant Prince and Dublin look like the only two real confirmed closers to me. So it's going to be interesting to see. Do a couple of these horses go out there and set a legitimate pace? Do they go out and go 47 flat, 46 and 3? Or does this field get real bunched up and potentially get to be kind of a scrum early to figure out position? Some horses getting bumped, some horses getting forced wide, kind of like the Derby was in the opening quarter and half mile. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all breaks down. Some horses I just don't like in here. I'm going to start that list with Pleasant Prince. To me, his Derby trial and Bluegrass are just too bad to look back all the way back to his decent efforts. I don't think you can use Pleasant Prince. I think Northern Giant is just too slow. Jackson Bend also just looks slow to me. I think he has clear distance limitations. I'm not a big fan of this horse. First Dude has just never been fast enough. And personally, I don't like Dublin. Dublin has not looked like a happy horse this entire Triple Crown season. He didn't look happy working up to the Derby. I don't think this is a horse that needs to be running in the Preakness, and I'm not going to take a shot on him. If you want to, you can. I don't think Dublin looks that good coming into this race. To me, you know, typically the horses that come to the Preakness that didn't run in the Derby because they didn't have earnings don't really fit with the top of their class. They're horses that they didn't get the earnings because they weren't quite good enough. I think this year's a little different. This year, this crop is so bunched together in talent that I think these horses that didn't make the Derby are still legitimate factors. And I'm going to go with one of those horses. I'm going to go with Caracortado. He's fresh. He ran a huge race in the Robert B. Lewis. I'm still convinced that was the best effort any horse had during the West Coast preps this year. I loved his effort in that race. I think he's got tactical speed to sit close to what should be not an overwhelming pace, and I think he can come home pretty fast. I think he is a really, really nice horse. Caracortado is going to be my pick in here. Obviously, Lookin At Lucky and Super Saver are going to be most people's picks. They're going to be the favorites. Super Saver could get all the way down to a 7-5, 8-5 type number. Lookin At Lucky could get all the way down to a 5-2, possibly even a 2-1. I don't see him getting below 5-2 though. And even Paddy O'Prado is going to be a bit of an underlay in my opinion. I think Paddy O'Prado will probably be 4-1 or 9-2. I think pretty much all the money is going to go on those three horses, and I think you're going to see a lot of horses slip up to pretty attractive prices. Now, if you do like a horse like a Super Saver, like a Lookin At Lucky, I think there's still a lot of value to be had in the exotics in this race. There's horses that can run second, third, fourth in here at really big prices. So two of the horses I really think could do that, Schoolyard Dreams. Here's a horse that beat Super Saver in the Tampa Bay Derby. Now he's going to possibly be 20, 25 to 1. He's a horse that can definitely light up the tote board. Also, Yawanna Twist, 30 to 1 on the morning line. This is a horse that might be on the lead early, that might get to take advantage of potentially even an open lead and pretty soft fractions. And he's a horse that's shown talent. He's never run a bad race in his 4 career starts. So Yawanna Twist, Schoolyard Dreams, those are some bombs that could hit the board. And another horse that'll probably be a price is going to be my pick, Caracortado. I wish you all the best of luck on Preakness Day. Hopefully we'll get some better weather than we had Derby Day. Hopefully everybody has a safe trip, everybody has a good time, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we have a Triple Crown contender coming out of this race. Best of luck to all of you. Make sure you stick with HorseRacingNation.com for all of our Preakness coverage, and I will see you all soon.